Hello, everyone. It's Friday. We hope it's drama-free. Yes, we do. Hello, Jean. Okay, in the event that my internet provider is still not stable, I'm going to say this really fast because I have like approximately 2 to 3 minutes before they get crazy on me. That's if things are not stable. So, I'm going to put this out here right now. Yeah. The problems I've had the last few weeks, actually 5 weeks, have been because the internet service that I am being provided by Mediacom is not stable. And so that's been the issue. We have done lots and lots and lots of testing. It has nothing to do with anything that is in my equipment. It has nothing to do with anything that's inside my house. It has everything to do with what happens to me when the signal leaves my house. So, having said that, here's what's going to happen today. To start with, I'm just going to show some things that we're just going to see how it goes. See if it's going to be, if there's any stability. Believe me, I'm on a first name basis with these people at the basically all over the world now. I'm on a first name basis. When I call in and say, "This is Barb Owen," they're like, "Oh," And worse than that, when Race gets on the phone or we get on a conference call, it's even worse. So, hi, Victor. So I will say hello to everybody in just a minute. I just happened to see Victor's name because it's in caps. We've done, as I said, we've done all kinds of testing, and we've talked to many, many people. And the upshot is on Monday, we're having a different internet service installing fiber optic that is supposed to go from our house all the way out, and so that should help the problem. But as many issues as I've had the last few weeks, and before that I had issues all during the fall, we're just going to see how it goes. So I'm going to stream and show you some stuff to begin with. We're just going to play around for a little while, see if it's going to hold on. If it is, then I'll switch and I'll go into the project that I had planned for today. And if everything goes well, hey, Bob's your uncle. We got it in today. If not, I start having problems, and I can tell because I'm monitoring it here. If I start having issues where it starts slowing down and starts doing all this laggy junk, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. And so you will see me poof off the screen. I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to do a whole separate recording that I will then upload to YouTube, and then we'll have that available. Okay? So that's how it's going to roll, and that's why I'm saying all this stuff right up front, because if anybody comes in and doesn't know what's going on, you guys can fill them in if you want to. Okay, so there you go. All right, so let me say hello to everybody. We've got Margaret and Mindy and Judy, and these are the people that are chatting. Sue and Victor and Jean, and let's see. Hi, Kia. Hey, Dee Dee. Mindy. Great to see everybody. And Trina. Hey, Trina, you made it. Hi, Deborah. Jamie. Good to see you, Jamie. Hi, Iffy. Yeah, we got a great group showing up here today. You all, hi, Meg. Everybody's coming to see. Hi, Janet. Everybody's coming to see whether it's going to work, right? Me too. Me too. Let me tell you, last week when I got off, I shouldn't even admit this. I know. I should not even admit this, but I'm just going to. Last week, by the time I stopped streaming, and I just literally just stopped, there was a 30 minutes. It was 30 full minutes from the time I stopped talking until you guys saw me leave the air. Ain't happening today. Ain't happening today. So what happened? So that was like, I probably cursed myself because I call it Drama Free Friday. But what happened then was I got on the phone with the technical department in LA. We conference called with the internet provider because, well, first I called the internet provider and I couldn't be sensible. I was so mad. I mean, I was so mad. Carol. Bo Blue bought the art, I think, is McCarroll, right? I think. Anyway, I think that I wasn't sensible because I couldn't even be ladylike. Let's just say that. I couldn't be ladylike. I was trying very hard. But it was like, I had gone, you know how one time we were at the mall. This is a few years ago. We were at the mall and we were sitting having a cup of coffee. And there was a bench right behind us. My husband and I were sitting on one side. This young man and his little boy were sitting on the other side. And they clearly had lost, the wife mother had lost her husband and son. And she finally found him. And when she did, she said, and pardon my French, she said, "You are on my last damn nerve." And that's what happened last week. That's what happened. Hi, Pam. Oh, my goodness. It was funny. Hi, Carla. I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, they'd gotten on my last nerve and they danced around on it. So, anyway. All right. Let me put the tea over here. Safely off the table. And we've been talking last week in particular, we were talking about recycling projects. And I often do things like that where I use some stuff that I have and combine some new stuff with it. And so what I'm going to show you is we're going to do a little bit more with denim today, just because I don't know about you guys, but this is what happens to me. I get started doing something like playing with, recycling blue jeans to see what I can do with it. I start playing with that. And then it's like, I just keep, hi, Sandy Jones. And then I just want to do more and more and more. I want to push it further and see what else. I start getting all these ideas. So anyway, we're going to play a little more with denim today. Well, I got an email from Carrie Ann. See if I can show this to you. Get all my other junk out of the way here. Carrie Ann. I believe she said her name is Dutoy, and she is in South Africa, I believe. And so she sent me this picture, and this was a handbag that she made, and I know it's probably hard for you guys to tell, but this is a handbag that she made for her mother out of some denim jeans. And what I particularly love about this, I love how she used the different shades of denim to create the artwork. I just thought that was really cool. So, yeah. Hello, Race Man. So I thought this is really neat. So this is Carrie Ann. She pronounces her last name Dutoy, I believe. I think I got that right this time because I asked her about it. So anyway, thanks, Carrie, for sharing that with me. That was really fun. Very sweet. All right. So in the world of recycling, sorry, I got my chairs tangled up. I'll be right there. I thought I would show you some journals to start out with. Show you some journals that are from different kinds of recycled projects. Hey, Sarah. APG Jamie. What's your good news? Oh, I just saw it. Jamie. APG Jamie, artist poet girl, sold a painting. That is awesome. That is so awesome, Jamie. Congratulations. If you guys don't follow Jamie on YouTube, you should. She puts out some great YouTube videos. Artist poet girl. I'm not exactly sure of the exact name of her channel, but I'm sure you can find it if you search Artist Poet Girl. That's great. Let's see. I saw something else in the chat here. Sorry, I'm looking. I saw something else and it flipped up. It went joop. Jamie says she's so stinking happy. Oh, I bet you are. That's wonderful. That's so great. That's good. We all celebrate when somebody has success, It's Great. Super. Okay, so I thought what I would show you first of all, just to see how our connection's going to go and how things are going to be, I thought I'd show you some recycled journal. Some of them are journals and some of them are journal covers. That's what this is a journal cover. And I should probably tell you how I made this, but it's been long ago enough that I don't remember. It's sad but true. I don't remember exactly how I did it. But this is, I know it has die cuts on it, and I think I covered it with tissue paper and then did a bunch of paint and metallics and what have you. Truthfully, I don't remember how I did it. But it's made from a cracker box. So you can see the one side of the cracker box. This is the top and the bottom of the cracker box, and the other side. And the only thing that I cut out was the other side of the cracker box. This is kind of like, I've seen Carla, Caged Fish, who has made journals out of candy boxes. And so she's also on YouTube. So you can check her out as well. Hey, Dar. Nice to see you. It's just so nice to see everybody here today. I'm telling you. It's so nice to see you guys. Great. Whoops. Lost my... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I messed up my window here. Yes, I did. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Hey, Race, if you're still on, would you jump into my computer and fix my window? I clicked on something that I should not have clicked on. Race, if you jump into my computer and fix it for me, that would be, oh, never mind. There it is. Huh, never mind. Never mind. I got it. I got it. My system operates with a couple of different kinds of computers at the same time, and one of them I'm not terribly familiar with. So anyway, that was a digression. Yeah. Okay, moving on. If you have something to say to me, be sure you put it in all caps, because otherwise I can't, I won't see it. Probably. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Terry. Cindy. Boy, we got a great group showing up here today. Thank you so much for coming. I just appreciate you. Yeah, based on my track record for the last several weeks. Hey. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so back to this. So we're just chatting for a minute just to see if everything's going to stay stable for us, and then we'll jump into a project. But anyway, this was a fun project to do, made out of a cracker box. And as I think I said before I accidentally clicked the wrong thing, that Caged Fish Carla on YouTube also does things, but she uses candy boxes, which are really fun. Okay. This is another one that I did using, for a while we were eating like a ton of these crackers, okay, like a ton of these crackers. And so what I did on this was I took just the fronts and the backs of the cracker boxes, cut them down to a uniform size, and then what I did was I created a binding. This is a Coptic stitch binding, and I did that with folded strips of Tyvek. So I bound this whole little strip, this whole little section. Hi, Marion. So this whole thing right in here, I bound all of those with a Coptic stitch binding using Tyvek only. So that was just Tyvek. Once I got all the Tyvek strips bound together, then I went back and I glued in the cracker box fronts and backs. So I slipped them in and glued them. That way I could create individual pieces. So as you can clearly tell, I've done nothing with this. I had a plan for it. I had it planned, but I don't remember what it was because I do too many things. And then I just put a piece of Tyvek that I painted over the binding here. which I'll probably do something else with because I don't like the way I like the way it looks, but it's way too flimsy. But, you know, if I ever come back to this, I'll do that. Here's the other one. This is the other one that I showed you a minute ago. You are welcome. Okay, so there's that. So let's look at a couple more. So far, so good, people. So far, so good. You guys must be putting out the good mojo so far today. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is another one that I don't remember exactly what I made this from. It could be recycled something. Wouldn't surprise me. I know the button is, obviously. And this is tissue paper in here that I put inside. I don't remember what the outside's made of. I kind of want to say that, I don't know if it was cardboard or what it was. It might have been grunge paper. And tissue paper, and then these, I know these were grunge letters, but all the paper in it is just kind of odds and ends of watercolor paper. And you know, and then I painted it and so forth. And then the lacing on the outside, this was old stuff that my husband had. You can tell that the threads on the button are kind of wonky, and that's wax linen to sew the button on, and I sewed another button on the underside. Janet, I wouldn't exactly call it a conversation with the tech, I have to say. I wouldn't exactly call it that. Race can attest to that. He was much more conversive than I was. Anyway, this is some old stuff that my husband had in his... He used to do leather and tooling of leather and stuff, and he had some of the lacing. So anyway, that's another journal idea. And then this just... I really didn't make the laces long enough because it should wind around there a few times. Hi, Aunt Beck. Kind of acts like grunge paper. It could be. So it might not technically be recycled, but you know. Okay, this one is a recycled book. So the covers, you can see right here, you can tell this is the book cover that I cut away from the book block and removed the spine. I think I saved the spines and made those into bookmarks or something. I don't know. But anyway, I painted and stenciled and stamped. This is one of my hand-carved stamps. Techs don't like to hear from Race either, he says. Yeah, they don't like to hear from either one of us. Anyway, let's try to keep it drama-free and positive, shall we? So what I did on this is I Coptic stitch bound this together with wax linen, but that was using, I love this size journal, and I don't know if this is, this feels like drawing paper that I used. I think it probably is drawing paper, but this is a great writing journal. I love the size of this little journal. So this was just, you know, book covers. And anyway, there's that. So just ideas. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Marion says she likes it when they tell her to delete all her cookies. Yeah. Let me tell you something. They didn't say that one to me. All right. So this was a journal, this was a project that I used with a group I was in. And I've shown this a few times in the past. It's been quite a while since I showed it, so I thought, well, it kind of fits with the theme going on here. But this is cigar box. The front and the back are made from cigar box. So I just cut the lid and the bottom out of a cigar box. And each of us got, and I did this in 2010, and each of us in the group got to pick our own theme. And so I decided to do something that was just really basic, that was wide open to interpretation. So my theme was orange and red. Yeah, I knew you would like this one, Dar. Dar's a red girl. Oh, Linda is orange. Okay, great, Linda. That's great. So what I did on this was, as I said, this was just a cigar box. I took the top and the bottom off. It was one that wasn't good enough to be a box anymore, but the top and the bottom were good if I put some stuff on them. This is a covered button. Let's see if I can show you the dimension. Trying to catch it where you can see. Can you see the dimension here? So this is a covered button that I did. And just put it on this little, I don't know. This was the letter O and the first letter of orange. Orange! We all know that story. And so there's a bunch of writing on here and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so that button was a face that I drew and then colored and varnished several coats. It's on fabric. So then inside here, we had to talk about introduce ourselves, and so I did, and I wrote about all the things that I am. Barb Owen is an artist, an author, a designer, a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a daughter, a friend, an avid learner, a journaler, a lover of books, an animal lover, a seeker, focused on health, not afraid to ask for help. It's interesting when you go back and read things that you haven't done for a while to see if you still agree with it. Fortunately, I still agree with everything I said. And this part of the book right here was all about talking about where you lived. And the reason I blocked this out is because it has my address on it. But this was all written in free motion stitching. And so I said Barb Owen lives at near the Midwest, close to the Ozark Mountains. And then I stitched some mountain zigzaggy things. The theme is red and orange. No restrictions. Play and see what happens. So this was all done with free motion stitching. And then I had to do a couple of pages, and so this was a page that I did, The Power of Red, The Beauty of Orange. And so these were a couple of pages I did a long time ago, 2010. And then I'll just briefly go through these pages so you can see what other people did and how they interpreted the theme. So this was a round robin, so it went from me to other people. And this was when I was just kind of getting into, or getting comfortable with, I should say, art journaling. And so it was like a big stretch for me to do this. A big stretch for me to do this. And the very first journal I got, okay, you're going to love this. If any of you guys, I'm sure you've all heard, or many of you have heard of the term wabi-sabi. And at that point in time, I had not heard of it, nor did I know what it was. What, Jamie? Your head hit the desk about what? Or Dar. Sorry, Dar wrote that. I get Dar and Jamie mixed up in the chat. Dar, what did your head hit the desk about? You have to explain a little bit. Anyway, the very first journal that I was sent, the theme was wabi-sabi. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. I mean, I researched. I looked up everything I found about wabi-sabi because I had no familiarity with it. I heard the term, but I didn't know what it was. And turns out it's not very definable. And so I have to say that it was a big, big stretch for me. Yeah, that was the very first one I got. It's like nobody had even done any examples, so I had something to look at. Yeah, anyway, I managed and she liked it, so we're good. Oh, the art, the Frida, got ya. Dar likes this. Dar likes this one. She likes the Frida. Yeah, I don't know who did this. Oh, Janet Gaio did that, if any of you are familiar with Janet Gaio. She actually lives in the same town with me, and but she got the book in the mail because it went somewhere else first and came back to her. So Janet did that. She's a really fabulous artist also. She works in fabric and quilts and paper, and she does great stuff. What does wabi-sabi mean? You'll have to look it up, Sandy. Maybe Jamie can explain wabi-sabi. Anybody in the chat can explain it. I'm sure far better than I could, believe me. So this was done by another, this is Lisa Cousineau. She is the one who owns Artist Seller. The Artist Seller stencils, this is Lisa. And this is from Lisa too. So any of you that know Artist Seller stencils and paints and so forth, that's Lisa. And so this was the other page she did. We each did 2 pages and for everybody. Yeah, one of you guys is going to have to explain it in the chat, because I barely understood wabi-sabi well enough to try to put it on a page. I'm not going to even try. I'm not going to even try and explain it here. So here are some other ones. This was a note that the gal who did these pages, this was a note that she put in here. And so I just left it because I thought that was great. This is another one Dar's going to like, I bet. I'm listening to voices outside my window. Anyway, so there's that one. This is funny. This is funny. Life is full of surprises. Embrace each one as if it were a gift. Is that funny? Dog face. And my smart technical department in LA says, isn't wabi-sabi? Isn't that what you eat with sushi? No. No, that is wasabi. Wasabi and wabi-sabi are 2 different things, my friend. So this is another one. This has a lot of shiny stuff on it. Let's see if I can get these open. And doors. So there's little doors that open on this. I love journal pages with doors. And let's see. This was fun to make, and it is fabulous from cover to contributions or something. Anyway, nothing to wear. An orange dilemma. Okay, are you guys ready for this? This is too much. Okay, look at this. Here is a paper doll, all dressed in red and orange. She's asleep on her orange and red bed. So she's asleep on her orange and red bed. She is adorable. She has movable joints. They're all put together with little brads. And then she has a wardrobe. And you pull it. I haven't looked at this in a long time, you guys. And inside her wardrobe are all her orange and red clothes with little tiny hangers. Is that amazing or what? Is that amazing? Let's see. Do I remember who did this? I can't read her signature. Ah, that's terrible. Anyway, wasn't that fun? Isn't that cute? Paper doll's great. And I had gone through, before I ever did this, I went through and washed, put a wash on the pages so there was some color. And obviously I missed some. And they didn't have to work in order. They could do whatever they wanted to do. So they didn't have to go in order or anything. And this was from a gal named Rita. And so this is Red Courage. Red is courage, and so this is one of the, I don't know who this is. Couldn't tell you who this is. I probably should know, but I don't. And this is a playing card with a bullet hole through it. Hi, Galena. And so this is Annie Oakley, because it says on this one, see, I can cheat. This one says Annie Oakley. And this is orange for endurance. And, I mean, she just did a really cool job with it. So let's see, is there more? Yeah, and then at the end, so there's a few more pages in here. And then at the end, this was done by someone who loves abstract. And she did, hold on a minute.
You might have a little bit of noise.
Okay.
Century Link is going to do some work right over here. He's going to put the drop in.
Oh.
And and I told him that you were online.
Would you just shut that window?
Yeah, and he said, I'll try to be quiet as
Okay.
possible.
Okay. Sorry, we had a brief interruption. So this was done with someone who loves abstract, which I love abstract. I just don't do it very well. And so here's more of the beautiful work that she did. And there's the back. Okay. That was Clausman. Yeah, he was delivering a message. So the people that were supposed to come on Monday are here today. Who knows, people? Who knows? So anyway, this is a recycled journal done. The pages are not recycled, but the covers are. And at some point, I'm going to change out these rings. I really don't like book rings very well because they're just so big and clunky. But, you know, haven't ever done it, so there you go. All right, here's another one. And this one is another one of those books that is book covers. So I took the covers straight off the books, cut them off, and what did I do? I think I put this together with duct tape. Here you can see the binding on the outside. This is duct tape, where the spine is totally duct tape. So I laid them down, put down a strip of duct tape, laid the covers in the duct tape, you know, leaving the section for the spine that I wanted, and then I added more pieces of duct tape, and then I turned it over, and I added more pieces of duct tape on the inside until I had enough to create the spine, and then I put the pages in there just with a pamphlet stitch. And this is a technique that uses candle wax and acrylic paint that makes a really cool finish. Okay, so there's that. And then I just hold this closed. You can see a lot. You can tell that what I really enjoy doing, I hope you can tell, is I really enjoy making the books. But when it comes to filling them up, they tend to go to the side because I get another idea for making another book. And this one I saved till last because this is a book that was a gift to me from Angela. Angela, oh boy, I forgot her last name. You can find her, I think, on YouTube under Angelia's Art, I believe. Her name is spelled, she pronounces it Angela, but it's spelled Angelia. And, hi, Ella. So, Carly, you do that too? That's good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So this was a book. She came to visit me a few years ago, and she had other family here in the same town where I live, and so that was cool because we got to spend an entire day together in my studio playing. And we played, and we broadcast it also. And that's when I was broadcasting on Ustream, and so we broadcast that whole experience. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. Anyway, she brought me this as a gift, and this is, I believe, I haven't opened this in a while. I believe the cover is corrugate. I'm pretty sure that it's corrugate on the covers. And she is masterful at all the texture and the colors and stuff. She is an amazing artist. An amazing artist. Hello, Luscious Graphics, and I'm sorry I don't know your, I don't remember your name. So inside, there's pockets, and this is very typical of her art. Her art is very graphic, and I believe all of the pages are done with corrugate, and she put wax paper between them, which was really nice because it protected them. So these are all of this that you see, the drawings in here, this is all her original artwork. And she also does a lot of collage. She uses a lot of words in what she does, which I do as well. But she is really phenomenal. I don't know if any of you remember her last name. I'll say it if we can come up with it. Lisa. Lisa, okay. Good. So here is more of her artwork. And she'll include things like Listen to Your Muse. Which, by the way, we have a class coming up here in a few weeks that has to do with muses, so stay tuned for information about that. This is one of my favorite pages, of course. So is this with the butterflies. This week, I even had to sketch a butterfly because I found it online. I'm like, I never noticed this detail before, so I had to make a note of that. So just going through this so you can see that how she's picked, you know, the colors for the various things, and I believe these are all Coptic stitch bound together. Aren't they pretty? That is a lot of work that went into this, people. A lot of work. There's more of her artwork. I believe. Or she may have painted over, I think she painted over an image maybe. I'm not sure on that one. Aren't they pretty? Anyway, so I'm just going through. This is one of her typical images. This is very typical of her artwork. And this is another one. This was where I very first saw her art, was in this style. And if you look at it straight on, it is a face that has two colors on it. However, if you block this out, then you get the profile incorporated in the face. I just find that fascinating. Fascinating. I think that's beautiful. That's the back side, and there's the back. But isn't that beautiful? And then the spine. Look at the spine of this book, where she tied on all of these yarns and fibers, and she tied a button on each section. You know, I mean, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Beautimus. It is a beautimus. So anyway, well, we're still looking pretty good. So I think, all right, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go straight into the project. Okay, people, everybody has to cross your fingers. Okay, cross your fingers. Let's go on the project. So last week, quick review. Last week, what I was attempting to do here, and ended up doing a separate recording and uploading it, was using the pockets from jeans and turning them into a little art journal. Now, this book rings closure that I have here, these are way too small for this journal, and they're done this way so that I could take a picture of it, so they didn't flop down. No, Dar, you cannot have it. You cannot have it, Dar. But thank you for asking. And the pages in here are all just totally random pieces of watercolor and mixed media paper, and all I've done is slop some different acrylic paint washes on them. Some of them I need to go back and do the back side just to give it some kind of color. All right, so the binding of this will be replaced with something. I'm going to leave the book rings on it until I'm finished, if that ever happens. Let's be honest. It very well could never happen. I don't know. But that allows me to get the pages out of the book and work on them and then put them back in. But my vision is eventually to take some strips of the denim, make them very skinny, and use those to go in and bind the book through the rings. This was a belt loop that I put a snap on, snap off. And then what I used back here was a button, and then I stitched that part of it, and it has plenty of room to expand. So I can add lots more pages into it. So yeah. And then there was another one that I showed you. This was done from a pair of my jeans with just 2 of the grommets to reinforce the holes. Same thing, belt loop for the closure. the little bit on the front, that's die cuts using my hand painted fabric. Okay, so we're going to set those to the side. That's what we did last week. Things are looking decent today, so let's go forward. And this is what we're doing this week. It's another little art journal using denim and recycling stuff. Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far? I'm going to take a sip of coffee, take a breath. I feel like I'm going 100 miles an hour. I don't feel like I'm doing Drama-Free Friday at all. I've got to tell you. Take a breath. I feel like I'm going so fast because I'm trying to get there before before there's a problem, which we hope there isn't. Okay. I feel like I should take some time out and go, yeah. Anyway. Sandy Jones, that's not true. I'm breathing. All right, so here's what I did for this, and then we're going to go through it. I have all the bits and pieces cut out, but I'm going to just give you a little tour through this little book. This is a pocket. Again, I'll show you where this comes. Well, I forgot to bring the jeans in here to show you where it comes from, but anyway, this is from the jeans. The little bits and pieces here are from some of my hand-painted fabric. What I did was I cut some of the flowers out from some of the hand-painted, hand-stamped, whatever fabric that we did a few weeks ago. And I cut out some stems. And and I treated the pocket as though it were a little, yeah, exactly, you guys. It's right. Everybody together, right? So I treated this like it was a little vase, but the pocket still works. So the cool part about it is you can stick pencils, if you need a highlighter, you can stick stuff in the pocket for this little journal, which I think is pretty fun. Hi, Callie. Okay. Then what I did here is I took a strip of denim. Actually, I pieced this strip of denim. Used another piece of that hand-painted fabric. That is one of the reasons that I make sheets of paper and I make big pieces of fabric that I hand paint, stamp, jelly plate, whatever, because then I constantly go back to my own stuff and I'm able to use that in my artwork. So I took a strip of it and stitched it down on top of the denim. This denim has not been finished in any way. It's going to ravel and carry on, but that's all right. And then I put a snap on it, 2 snaps, and then when you open it up, this is entirely fabric, and I love this fabric. I'm about to use it all up. And this is called, I don't know the line of the fabric. It may be Simple Gifts. I don't know. But I love that Simple Gifts reminder. And this is some fabric I've had for a long time, so I'm sure they don't make it anymore because fabric is just like paper. And that they do certain runs of it for a certain length of time, and then they stop. And usually it's very short. It's just like paper. If you see something that comes out in collections of paper, if you find one you like, you better get it now because it's going to go away. And fabric is like that as well. So these lines of fabric that come out, I bought, I don't know, a couple yards of it, and I've just about used it all up, which, I'm sad, but I'm happy I got to have it. Then these are grocery bags and different kinds of craft paper bags that I've created and used in my signatures. So I'm going to show you more of that. I'm going to show you how I made the book. I'm going to show you how to stitch it together and so forth. But the fun part, about craft paper bags is that sometimes they'll have decoration on them. And I've got some in here that, like this, was really cool. So I specifically incorporated the patterning. Of course, now that I'm telling you that, there's more. But there's one restaurant, if any of you have a restaurant called Chipotle anywhere near you, they have the neatest bags. They have the coolest bags. And so this is an example of the artwork that changes frequently on their paper bags. So I decided that I would incorporate, this is from a grocery store. So I decided to take advantage of that. And so here is a full, the center of this particular signature so that I could get the whole piece of artwork from the craft paper bag. So look at the paper bags that you get, because you might find that you've got some fun artwork, right? Just waiting to go into your book. This was also from, pardon me, this was also from Chipotle, from one of their bags. And I just decided to incorporate that. It says Cultivating Thought. Hey, Sarah. And then there's some more. This is from the grocery store Lucky's, and so I put that in the center of a signature so I could get the whole thing. Now, whether you choose to incorporate things like this, you know, the flaps and stuff where they've glued the bags together, that's totally whatever you want to do. Here's the truck that's upside down. Oh well. More artwork from Chipotle. And let's leaf through the rest of this. More artwork from Chipotle bags. And this wasn't particularly inspiring, but I thought it was fun to have. And then the end of the book is upside down. Yeah, oh well. So anyway, there is plenty of room in this little journal for it to expand and, you know, put more stuff in it. It's very squishy, you know, see that? It's very squishy. It feels good, and so we're going to make one. How's that sound? You want to make one? So far, so good, people. So far, so good. Hey, Julie. Welcome. Glad you're here. So I have this entire other stack of stuff over here that I was going to do, you know, like in case things were going south. I'm going to be able to save that. Okay, let's do it. So this is where we're headed. So let me get my whole tray full of stuff here. All right, so what you want to do first of all, I'm going to get out of the picture so you get the full view here. What you want to do is you want to get a piece of denim. This is cut from the leg. This is the inner leg seam is what I used, okay? And I'll give you the dimensions from what I used, but this is totally dependent on your resources and the access that you have to your stuff. So this particular one measures right at 11¼ inches across the length, and it measures 7 inches top to bottom. Now, when you cut, let me tell you, when you cut denim from a leg of a jean, this is taken from very close to the bottom of the blue jeans leg, because that was the straightest part of the leg. As the leg goes up, it starts, unless it's bell bottoms, which that's a whole other story. If it's a straight leg jean, it starts straight, and then as it goes up, it has to make room. It has to widen out for the thigh, correct? And so if you'll take it from the closer to the bottom of the jeans leg, it'll work a little bit better for you. Okay, so I started out with a piece of denim that was, as I said, 11¼ inches long and 7 inches tall. Okay, then inside this I have a piece of stiff interfacing, and this is pretty stiff stuff. It's not Peltex or Timtex, but it's still pretty stiff, and it's cut just slightly smaller. So you can see it's just slightly smaller all the way around than the denim. Okay? Slightly smaller. Like 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. Just so I didn't have to fight it sticking out. But you'll see in a little bit that it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Then I cut my lining fabric, which I'm using the same thing that I used on the other one just because I wanted to, because I love it. And so it's cut the same size as the denim. All right, now to hold these together, because I'm going to use a sewing machine to attach them. If you wanted to use some sort of fusible webbing, you could do that. I'm going to use a sewing machine. But to hold the pieces together, because you can tell that they're not going to come apart, right? They're not coming apart. But they're not completely fused together either. There are lots of fusible webs out there, but this particular one works really well for many applications, and it also can make you positively crazy, and it's called Misty Fuse. Okay. Hi, Lynn. So this is called Misty Fuse, and it's kind of like a spider web. It's very hard to show it to you, but I'm trying to find something that maybe you can see it against my hand. But it's like a spider web. It is not paper backed, and it is wonderful and it's maddening all at the same time. If you've ever heard of stitch witchery, it's similar to stitch witchery. It does not have paper on either side of it, and so it presents its own challenges when you're working with it. There is a whole class on fusible webs on HowToGetCreative.com in the member area, an entire class that goes all the way through all that. And I always save all the bits and pieces of the fusible webs, and the Misty Fuse in particular, I'll just use little pieces of it and put a piece in here and a piece under it, and this has just got little bits and pieces of the Misty Fuse, and then I ironed it and steamed it, and that's just going to hold the pieces together. Because sometimes it's hard to get things that have this much thickness not to bend your pins. Okay? So that's what we got going on to start with. Then what I did to mark my spine here, you can see a couple of lines coming down, and I just used a colored pencil. It wasn't Prismacolor or anything. It was like Brand X colored pencil. And I measured in from one side 5 inches, and I measured in from the other side 5 inches, and I drew a line. And that leaves the spine area of just a little less than 1.25 inches. Okay, so the spine is about 1.25 inches. So that's what I did for mine. You can do this any way you want. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up my sewing machine. So give me just one moment to rearrange myself here. There's not much sewing involved here, but there is a little bit. Last week we had no sewing. This week we had a little bit. Okay. Sorry, pardon my boarding house reach, as my mom would say. I'm going to go ahead and snap on my slide-on table because it gives me a little flatter surface to work on rather than working over the free arm. And let's see if I can get over here where you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stitch around the outside edge. I'm going to stitch around the outside edge of my denim, my sandwich, and I'm going to stitch. I'm going to start at the edge on this one. And I'm going to stitch about 3/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, this is purely personal preference. Now, if your denim starts trying to scooch up and bubble up, which this is, take your fingers, instead of trying to stretch it to make it lie flat, go out, not front to back, but side to side. That will help that smooth out. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. And the thread that I'm using is King Tut, because it's a beautiful cotton variegated thread, and it's my favorite, and so that's what I'm using because I like it. Now, denim is a pretty stable fabric, but it also can stretch a little bit on you, so you can't get all wigged out about that. Hey, Jan. Hi, Caroline. Glad to have you joining us. It's great to see you. Thank you to everyone who's here today. It's wonderful to have you. Okay, so I've stitched around the entire perimeter of my sandwich of denim and heavy interfacing and the lining fabric. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the edges, all the way. So what I'm going to do now is these lines that I marked for the spine, I'm going to stitch those. So that's what's happening next. And I marked the line because it's going down the middle. It just makes it a lot easier to follow the line than it does to try to gauge it off of something on one side or the other of the machine. So mark the line and stitch on the line. Okay, one side done. I'm going to just release some thread and just go down the other one. When you do this, hang on to those threads so that they don't decide to wad up under the machine and make thread puke. Okay, we're done sewing. So trim up your threads to get rid of those because there's nothing quite as tacky as a bunch of threads hanging off, unless that is part of the design. That's part of the design, that's different. But if you don't intend for that to have threads hanging off, then get rid of them. One more set I missed here. Okay. Some people really like to incorporate the thread tails, and that is perfectly fine. Okay, sewing machine going away. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this blade. I'm going to change out the blade in my rotary cutter. I'm almost hesitant to show you this because if anybody gets hurt doing this, I will, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Do this at your own risk and be very careful, okay? This is a rotary cutter, which is like cutting with a razor blade, like a round razor blade. So I'm going to change this. Hey, Ruth. Oh, tell them I said hello. You're working with the girls in the locker hooking. Tell them I said hello. I'd love to see pictures. Okay, this is a wavy blade that you can use on your rotary cutter. You'll notice it is within a little safety container. It is a journal cover. Yep. This is what we're doing. I know I'm zoomed in really tight, but we're doing a little journal cover. Okay. That's what we're doing. All right, so what I'm going to do, you can use pinking shears or scalloping shears to try to do this, but it is so thick that it's difficult to do. So if you want to put a decorative edge around here, you're better off to use one of these kinds of blade deals. So what you got to do is you got to take this apart very, very carefully. And you got to keep the little pieces and parts exactly as they come off so that you can keep straight as to what goes where. Okay, so there's two pieces on the back. Turn it over and pop the little part that holds it together. Pop that out. And then you're going to carefully take the blade out and set it someplace that you're not going to cause bodily harm to yourself. All right, the next thing you're going to do then is you're going to get the other blade out, handle it carefully. You're going to put it in the blade holder, okay? Put it in the holder. Hold it with your thumb. Do not get close to the edge. Whatever you do, put the middle part back in, carefully turn it over, put the little metal disc that is curved on purpose, put it back on, and it only fits, it fits in there in kind of a wonky way, and then put the little nut back on it. Okay, that screws on to hold the whole kit and caboodle together. Now, if you screw this on too tight, the guard won't go up and down. Okay, it's really hard to get that guard up and down. So you may have to back it off just a hair so that you can get that guard to expose the blade and go back up. Whatever you do, make sure that this guard is always around that blade. And this other blade, even though I'm going to put it back on my rotary cutter here in a little bit, I'm going to put it back in the little safety cover so that it's not going to hurt anybody. Okay? All right. So now what I'm going to use is a rotary cutting mat. I'm going to use a rotary cutting mat. So this is a self-healing mat. Otherwise you will mess up your table right away. And I forgot to bring in my ruler. And so wish me luck. I got to go behind door number 1 to get my ruler. So I'll be right back. Hopefully without the sponsors. I made it. Whew, that was tricky business. Okay, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to line this up on the stitching. I'm going to give it about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to switch cameras here. See if I can come over here a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to stand up. And cut. And it gives me that wavy edge. Now if you get little stuff like this that isn't perfect, then you can come back in with a pair of scissors and true that up. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. See, I went in there and now the sponsors are upset. Whenever you set your tool down, be sure you close the blade or the guard. Now you are working with denim on something like this, so you do have to know that it could come out not to be entirely square. And if that's the case, you got to just work with it. Got to just work with it. Okay, we're done. Now, this blade right here, I want you to see, can you see the wavy parts of it there? Hopefully you can see that. Those wavy parts are really sharp, so this blade needs, when you're done, you need to take this back off, put it back in the case, put it back in its little case, and put your regular blade on here, because the regular blade is not nearly as apt to cause bodily harm. So I'm going to set this out of the way because I'm done using it. And there is our little trimmed up journal cover, and it's going to go like, let's kind of just crease it, finger crease it along the spine stitching. So there's the little journal cover. Okay. Hi, Eileen. Yeah, Lynn hears the boys. I know. I know. Hello, Zora. Nice to have you join us. All right, so that's that. Now what we have to do is to put the pages, get ready to put the pages inside the book. Okay, so I've done a lot of this ahead of time on purpose so that you don't have to sit here going, what is she doing now? Let me talk about the cover for a minute first. These pockets that I have right here, these pockets, you can tell, are much larger than the pockets I used last week. Okay, or much smaller, sorry. The one from last week is much larger. See how much bigger that is? All right, so this pocket right here is the watch pocket. And if you look inside blue jeans, not all of them have it. but the pairs that I were working with did. And it's one of those inside front, it's inside the front pocket, usually on one side of the blue jeans, if the jeans have it. Hi, Jan. And so I found that and I thought, well, I'm going to cut that out and use it. Now the reason it's two different colors here is because this part's exposed to the light, this part's not. This is the part that's down inside the pocket. And all I did was the same thing I did last week, and that is I cut it out, so I maintained the blue jean part with it. You know, the inside of the pocket is with it. This was from a pair of my blue jeans, which surprised me that it had a watch pocket, but it did. I don't know why, but it did. And so so this was from my blue jeans. And so again, I cut it out. The interesting part about this, it only has one decorative stud here instead of two, so that's interesting. But the same thing, I left the back, the part of the pocket that was inside. This is actually the blue jean. I left that with it. So don't forget to investigate the blue jeans, all parts of it, the denim, to see what is available. So that's fun. So you can decide what you want to do and also where you want to put it. It doesn't really matter where you want to put it. But the reason I put mine closer to the bottom was so that if I put a pin in it, I could put a pin in it and it would not, you know, stick up outside the journal. So that was why I did that. This one I think could be fun to have the pocket on the back, the little pocket on the back side. Or the other thing you could do is take a small pocket and you could put it like on the inside of the back cover. You could do that too. So I mean, there's all kinds of things. And how did I put these on? I'm glad you asked. I just used Aleene's Tacky glue and I put it all over in an even coat all over the back of this pocket. Put it down. Put a piece of wax paper over it and then put some weight on it and just let it dry. Works like a charm. It's not going to be washed, so it doesn't matter. Okay? Easy peasy. So that's how this gets attached to the cover. All right, so let's talk about pages. You got to decide what the size of your page is, and so I usually do sample pages. You know, I measure and then I make a sample page and I decide, yeah, that's probably going to work. And what have I done with my pages? Here they are. So for this was a whole bunch of paper bags that I had a big stack of, and the pages I cut 9.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So it's 9.5 inches wide because they're going to fold by 6.5 inches tall. So let's see if that's going to still work with this, which we hope it does. Looks pretty good. Looks like it'll work okay. Okay, so that's what I did. I cut them 9.5 inches this way, and what did I just tell you? 6.5 inches tall. And I did 5 pages. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages for each signature. Fold them in half and nest them inside each other, and that makes a signature. Okay? And I did that for 5 signatures, just like that. Once you get all your pages cut, then you can go through and decide, you know, the different colors of the craft paper, because all the paper bags have their own, you know, unique color. Then you can just come in here and arrange them however you want to put them together. So look through them and see what you like, what order you like them in, and put them together. So far, so good. Everybody got, you guys following me okay, I hope? And what I'm going to do here, because I'm going to check and make sure that I have the signatures right side up, and I'm going to put a little T at the top of each one, just so I don't confuse them and put in some of them upside down. Although if I do, it's not the end of the world. So, any questions, anybody? If you do, put them in all caps, okay? Okay. All right, so I just have a T up in the upper corner so that I know which way is up. Now, you need to know where these signatures are going to stitch into your book. And I made my pattern, my template, just slightly smaller than an inch, or this was an inch, about, what did I tell you it was? A little less than an inch and a quarter, I think I said. It's about an inch and an eighth in here, maybe just a smidge over. So I cut a piece of cardstock that was as long as my spine, as my book is tall. So this is as long as the book is, and it's almost, but not quite, as wide as my little spine. All right, so that's that. So I need to have that little piece of cardstock ready to go, and then I need another piece of cardstock that is, I always make these 2 inches wide because it's just easy. 2 inches wide, and then crease it in half, and this needs to be the length of your signatures. So this is going to be a little bit different because remember the signatures are a little bit, we cut this at 7 and I cut the signatures at 6.5, so see how it's a little bit shorter? I hope you can see that. Let me show it over here. See if I line those edges up together at one end. Do you see how it's shorter? And it's supposed to be that way because the signatures are shorter than the spine of the book. Okay. All right, so we have those two little things. Now, what you got to do when you've got your signatures ready to rock and roll, so we got them cut, we got them folded, we have them nested, we have our little pattern made that is the same height as what the signatures is. Now we got to put the holes in it. We got to decide where those holes are going to be. So I put those holes, one in the middle and one at each end. Okay, about the same distance from each end. And I mark it with top so I know which end is the top, because sometimes they're different. You know, even though you try to make it the same, sometimes they're a little different. And then you just use one of these. Whoops, sorry. I'm showing you and you can't see it. Try again. So you find the center, and then you mark one at each end, the same distance apart, hopefully from each side, but always mark the top of your guide. That's what I do, is mark the top of the guide. And then I just take a pokey tool, and where those holes are marked, I just put the pokey tool through that so that I know where the hole is. So that's my guide. So I got my guide ready, so I'm ready to poke my holes in my signatures. I'll do that in just a minute. But what I want to show you here is the prep work is what takes the time on this. The sewing is not the hard part. The prep work, and this isn't hard, it just takes time. What you want to do now is take this little piece of cardstock. It looked just like this. It was plain cardstock, didn't have any holes in it. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to lay out where I want my signatures to go. So I've got one in the middle, and then I put lines on either side of it 2 more times, and that gives me 5 lines. So I know that each signature is going to go on there. And then I take my little template, let's do it this way, take my template for my holes, and I center that inside my spine template, and I transfer those holes right there so I know exactly where those holes are going to be. So that way it's got to match up. It has to. There's no other way for it to happen. It has to match up. So the holes are the same, but again I mark top on that, and then I take my little pokey tool and my mat. What did I do with it? my rotary cutting mat. We'll use a different one because I don't know what I just did with that one. Take a mat that's going to protect your table and then poke a hole through each one of those dots where you're going to stitch. Okay, so poke a hole through every single dot that you've got on your template. So far so good, or did I lose you all? I hope you're still here. I hope you're here. Alright, so we're going to set this aside for the moment, and we're going to poke the holes in the signatures. That's what we're doing next. Alright, so this thing I'm going to show you is called a book cradle, and it has a slot in the bottom. If you don't have a book cradle, you can simply use an old phone book or an old thick magazine. And you put your signatures either in the crease of that phone book or in the book cradle, just like this. And then you lay your template right in here. Everything lines up at the end. Use your pokey tool and poke down. You can do all 5 pages at the same time. 5 pages meaning one signature. Poke right down through it. And when you take it out, you can see your holes are poked. Okay, set it to the side. And repeat. Rinse and repeat. Okay, so the middle of the signature, top goes to the end up here, the blocked end. The reason this end is open is because if you have long pages, it'll still work. It'll let them extend on out. Okay, so we have more. Signature number 2. You got to do this 5 times with all 5 signatures. But a book cradle makes it really easy to do. But as I said, if you don't have one, you can use a phone book. And if you want your signatures in a specific order, then you need to keep track of what order things are in. But you need some kind of a pokey tool. This is the Tim Holtz paper piercer. You could also use a skinny awl. Okay, and so all the holes are poked, and we can put the book cradle away, and I just tend to store all of my templates right in the book cradle. I have a whole bunch of them because oftentimes I can reuse them and not have to figure it all out again. Okay, so we're done with that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on putting the holes through our book cover. Now this gets a little bit trickier because you have thickness here. And so what I do is I lay my template on here so I've got it centered, and then I'm going to use an ink pen because nobody's ever going to see. Outside of the cradle. Sorry. Yes. This is the outside of the cradle. Okay, that's how it looks that way. That's how it looks from the end. And that's how it looks from the other end. Okay? And that's what it looks like inside. Okay. Okay, so back to the cover. So you need to have something that is really going to show up on this. And I'm just going to use an ink pen. It's never going to be seen. So I'm just going to use an ink pen because I need something that's really going to show up. And I'm going to mark the holes right through the holes that I poked in my template. And I'll show you these in a minute, but I just make sure that they are really clear. So mark all the holes. It does, doesn't it? Looks like a manger. Yeah, it does for sure. Except without an end. Okay. And you'll notice that I'm holding it and not moving that, so that if there's a hole that I can't see, I'm going to be able to put it right back down in the same place. Okay, so we have the holes here. I'll show you those. So you see the holes right here at the top, then in the middle, and then at the bottom. So far, so good. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to use your pokey tool, your awl, your whatever, and you want to poke these holes. Now, they're not going to show so much through the denim. So when you get it in there, just kind of wiggle it around so you can kind of spread the fibers on the outside. You're never going to see this, but I found that that really did help. Bye, Aunt Beck. So I go through the holes a couple times with my awl. And remember, you're going through the lining, you're going through the interfacing, and going through the denim. Okay, so you just want to poke them several times, and that's what you do. All right. So from the denim side, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see these. We'll give it a shot. You can just almost see them right here. And see how the fibers are kind of spread apart? Those are the holes. It's not so easy to see it, but they're there. You do the same thing for the other ones. Okay, so we got that for the middle ones, and then you got to do the same thing for the bottom holes. So just put your awl in there, your pokey tool, and just wiggle them around. And what we're going to be using is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch to put this together. Hey Jess, good to see you. Okay, easy peasy so far. Just takes some time. It's not hard, just takes some time. So the next thing you're going to do is we're going to start stitching the book together. I'm not going to worry about doing the cover and all that. I'll show you kind of the process for adding stuff to the cover, but I'm not going to, mess around with gluing and all that kind of stuff at this point. But what I'm going to show you is how to stitch the signatures in. So you need a tapestry needle, which is a needle that has a blunt point on it. So I have an assortment of them. I'm just going to pick one that I like. And then you got to find something that you want to stitch the signatures in with. I'm using wax linen. You can use a lot of different kinds of things to do this. Now, this not long enough. So this is a wax linen thread, and I use, per signature, I use 3 lengths of thread. So 1, 2, 3. 3 times the length of the spine. And once I've got one of them measured, then I'm just going to measure the rest of them. So I'm going to cut 5 lengths of the thread. That way it's all done, all ready for me, and I don't have to mess with it, remeasuring and doing all that stuff. Yeah, making the guides is a little challenging sometimes, but that is key to the process to get everything to line up the way you want it. Or the other thing is you can just do it the way you want and just have it be eclectic, and there's nothing wrong with that too. There's nothing wrong with that as well. It doesn't have to be the same every single time. Okay, so I've got my 5 pieces of thread because I have 1 per signature. I really like using the waxed linen thread, but that's my preference. So you don't have to do that, but that's my preference. Okay, set the threads to the side. You want to thread your needle. No knots, just thread your needle. Okay, so we got the needle threaded. I'm going to take my first signature, and remember it says top here, and so this is the top of my book. I'm going to open the signature up, and I'm just going to tap it on the table, and hopefully everything will line up. All the holes will line up. And to assist me with that, I'm going to put a binder clip, just a little binder clip on the edge of the pages. It just helps hold everything together. I'm going to start at the back part of the book and work my way forward. I'm going to start in the middle of the signature, put the needle through. Okay, there's the needle, it's going through. You want to pick the far end hole and put the needle through to the outside. Duct tape, that's right. Sandy Jones says, if all else fails, duct tape. Sandy Jones, you got it. All right, the next thing you're going to do, you need to go to one end or the other. It doesn't matter which end. And you're going to look for the hole. And this, I found that sometimes it was helpful if I pierced it again from the inside, and then I could find it. See, then I could find it more easily. So the needle's going to come up through that hole on the end, and then I'm going to come back through the middle to the middle of my signature through the end hole, like so. Okay, so I've got, they're sewn together through 2 holes. You want to come all the way to the opposite end, go through the hole of the signatures. Okay, so it's through there and down through the last hole in the cover. Pull your needle through. Make sure you don't have any big gaposis in here. And now you're going to come to the middle hole one more time where we started, and you're going to come through that hole, which already currently has a thread in it. So what you want to do is go through that hole, and you don't want to split your thread if possible. And doing this under the camera is, of course, a challenge. It's a bigger challenge than you might think it is. There we go. And then back through the signature one more time. Okay, so back through the signature. Now, what you want to have is you want to have one end of your thread on each side of the middle. Let's turn it around the right way. You want to have one tail on each side of this long middle stitch. Okay, just like that. So one thread on each side, and then just tie a double knot. And if you're using the waxed linen, the wax really helps keep it the knot from coming undone. So I just knot it a couple of times and then cut it to about 1/2 inch each side of the knot. And you've got one signature all stitched in. Voila! Okay, let me show it to you over here. Okay, so we came up, initially we came up through the middle, then we went down through one hole, all, yeah, how did we do, no, we went in here, sorry, we went in here, we came back up from the back, from the cover, through the signature, all the way across to the other end, put the thread through. On the outside, then we went back through the middle hole and then tied it in the middle. Okay? And that's it. Alright, next stitch. From that point, it's just rinse and repeat. I can take my clip off. Okay, take the clip off and then go to your next signature. So I pick it up, I find where the T is for top, tap it on the table just to make sure everything is all nice and together, and then I check the hole to make sure they're lined up, and usually if the center hole is lined up, they're all lined up. And then I just stick the clip on, because that just kind of helps, it just kind of helps hold everything together. Pick up your next thread, rethread, rethread your needle, open your signature, go through the middle, go through the next middle hole in your line on your cover. Okay, so through there, go to one end or the other, it doesn't matter which end, go from the cover to the inside, and again I found it easiest to come back in here and just make sure that hole is open. Okay, so it's coming from, the needle is coming in. See the needle come through there? Like so. And then come through the signature. Into the center of the signature. All the way to the opposite end. Go from the inside of the signature. Now you got to pick up the cover hole. Okay, like so. And now you got to go back through the center hole one more time. Sometimes you have to tighten your threads a little bit. And put your needle back on your thread. So go back through the middle hole of your cover. Let's do the same hole that already has thread in it. Sorry, I had to get a drink. And then you want one thread tail on each side of that center stitch. Tighten up your threads so that you don't have any loose, so your stitches aren't loose, and then tie it off. So I tie it twice and then cut the thread ends. Okay, anybody got any questions? And because it's waxed, I usually can just push it and those little tails just stick right down to the center thread. So it's just a matter of rinse and repeat. So we take the next signature, make sure the T is at the top, open it to the middle, make sure the holes are lined up. Did I not put, yes I did. Okay. Where is my hose? I didn't get the center of this one pierced, of course. All right, if that happens, I got all of them pierced except the middle. So I'm going to lay my guide back in this one and pierce these holes. So excuse me for a moment while I correct myself. Okay. So line up all the holes here. And if you have to go through them one at a time to get them lined up, sometimes that's what you have to do because sometimes they get ornery. So line up the holes, everything's lined up, put your clip back on, and then you can re-thread. How best can I make one for Jess, but with your name on it? Bye, Ella. Okay, so back through the middle hole. Through the middle hole of the cover. Leave the tail. Come to the bottom or top, does not matter. Again, I find it easiest to make sure that that hole is open. It just makes it easier when you're working with something that fabric like this that kind of wants to close up on you. Back through the signature. And this is infinitely easier when you can just get it up close to your face, if you know what I mean, rather than try and do it under a camera. Okay, so line everything up. Come all the way to the opposite end to the other hole. Through the signature. Okay, see the needle coming through the signature. And then down into the cover hole. We only got 2 more to do after this one. Aren't you happy? Back through the middle hole. Okay, so back through the middle hole and then back through the signature. And one end goes on each side of the long stitch. Unthread your needle, tighten everything up. Take a look at it, just make sure that your stitches are looking good. Tie your knot. I really enjoy the sewing. The challenge of it when you're working with recycled materials, these are not brand new materials, so things tend to get a little, you can't control it very well. And so that can be a challenge. And I have also not kept track of where the holes were, and I've sewn the signatures, to the wrong holes, and then you have to back yourself up and go, oh great, But that can happen. Okay, line up your holes once again. Make sure you got your clip on, that helps hold everything in place. Okay, rethread your needle. And we got 2 more pages to do, 2 more signatures. So in the middle, and the reason I keep saying this is just because that's the process. In through the signature, Make sure the cover hole is completely open. Come through the cover. Go through the signature. All the way to the other end, through the signature, back through the cover. Come on, be nice. Don't start getting cranky on me now, people. Not people, look. People are being great. The internet is even being nice. Okay, so we've got it going all the way down, back through the middle hole. And back through the signature and tie it off. One end on each side of the thread. Tighten up your threads. The length of the ends is irrelevant because you're going to cut them off anyway. So just check it, tie it, and you're ready for the last one. Now you can use embroidery floss, you can use string, you can use pearl cotton, you can use lots of things to stitch the signatures in with. Okay, here's my top. Line up my pages. Make sure everything's still lined up. Put on the clip. Okay, so got it clipped. And one more thread. It's really not hard. It really isn't. So through the middle, and we have one remaining set of holes in the cover. That's a good thing. That means we're doing it correctly. Okay, through the cover. Go to one end or the other. Does not matter which. Make sure the hole is open. Come through the hole. Come back through your signature. All the way to the other end, through the signature, and back through the cover. Like so. And now we're going to go back through the center hole one more time, one last time. And through the signature. This is the last signature, the last time you have to do this. One thread on each side, one end on each side of the thread, tighten it up, tie your knot, double knot, clip the ends, and Bob's your uncle. We have sewn a book together. Remove the clip. Ta-da! We have a book. Yeah, it's recording. It automatically records through YouTube. So yeah. Okay, so there's our little book. Here are our stitches. Do it this way. So it has 2 long stitches on the outside. Okay, so 2 long stitches on the outside, and in the middle there is 1 long stitch that is secured by the knot in the center. So you'll see that in the middle of every signature. On the other ones, you're not going to see that because you only see the threads in the middle of the signature. And between signatures, you'll see a little gap because we had to separate the signatures so that they would fit. Okay, so from the outside or from the top, that's what it looks like. That's how it looks. Okay, so now let's say that we have a pocket on here. So we're going to pretend now that we have the pocket on. So we're going to pretend that that's glued in place. If you want to decorate it like this one, if you want to decorate it with act like this pocket is a little vase or something, this is what I did. I just picked some of my hand painted fabrics. You could do this with any kind of fabric. You could do it with commercial fabric. I looked at some of my hand painted fabrics, which I did this a couple weeks ago. It must have been several weeks ago by now. And I looked through it and I found some flowers, that I liked and that were close to an edge so that when I cut them out, I wasn't going to cut like in the middle of the piece of fabric. So let's say we want to do this one. So I'm going to just kind of chunk them out here. So I'm just going to kind of take a chunk of fabric here with each one. But these particular flowers are pretty close to the edge. And this one is right at the edge, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'll just put it behind something. So that'll work. And then I'm just going to kind of roughly cut them out. I don't have to make them perfect because this is a little recycled journal. Okay, so we got one. And just kind of wiggle the scissors or wiggle the little piece of fabric. So there's 2, and we'll do 1 more. Now these little flowers, it would be fun to embellish them with little tiny buttons in the center, or you could put a little piece of bling or one of those little pearl bits, or you could put a perfect pearls dot or something, if you want to embellish the center of these, which would be kind of fun to do after you get them onto your project and you decide what you want. So there's our 3 little flowers, and I'm going to just pick a little section of this, and I'm just going to cut a little stem. I'm going to cut two little pieces of curvy stem kind of thing here. So I got choices, because choices are good. So let's say that this one is going to go right about here. And let's say that our flowers are going to go like that, for example. They can be whatever you want. So then you got to figure out how you want the stems to go. So maybe this one would go a piece like this. And I'm going to let that extend inside the pocket or below the pocket so it looks like it's growing out of the pocket. And let's say that we want to do yeah, we'll just do this. And you can cross over the stems or whatever you want to do. And then we need another little piece for this one. So kind of lay out what it is you want. You know, you can make the flowers, the stems go whatever way you want. Kind of lay it out, get it the way you want. And then again, I just used, hey CB. Then again, I just used the original tacky glue, spread it on the back, put the pieces down with the glue, and then covered it with a piece of wax paper and then put some weight on it just so that the edges and everything would get glued down in place. Now, if you want to do, then you got to decide how you want to close it up. The one that I have here, as an example, this was a piece of denim. This was just a strip of denim that was left over from whatever else I cut. So a strip of denim. I took a strip of one of these hand-painted fabrics, just cut a strip off. And then I stitched around that just so I had a nice long strip to work with. And then I just decided how long I wanted these strips to be. So I went, oh, it needs to be about that long. Literally, that's the scientific measurement. And then if it's not quite square, square it up a little bit. And then measured a second one, so I had two of them that were alike. So I have my two little tabs, and then I thought that the denim was showing a little bit too much, and so I came back and trimmed it down just a little bit. So I didn't have quite so much denim hanging out. But this is purely a matter of personal preference, as is anything when you create it. So once I had my two little strips the way I liked them, then what I did was I set the snaps, and I showed that in the video from last week. I showed how to set the gripper snaps, only this time instead of using the solid cap of the snap, I used the colored ring. So I just used, if I could get a hold of one, it would be helpful. I used the colored ring that has the prongs on the back of it. Get this up here where you can see it. So I used that little prong cap instead of this little colored cap for the outside. Okay. So that's what I used to put the little tab, the snap on the tab. Now you could use Velcro, you could use all kinds of things. You could do any kind of closure you want. That was just, as I told you earlier, when I get into doing something, then I just want to do a bunch of it and just keep seeing, well, what else can I do? What else can I do? So that's where that came from. Okay, anybody got any questions? We made it all the way through the entire thing today without getting cut off. the entire broadcast. My stream health was healthy, and I managed to get through the entire thing without a problem. Can I just have a hallelujah, amen? So, anybody have any questions? So I know I didn't go through every single little step on this one, but you got the idea because I had one finished so you could see what it was like. You liked it? Good. Drum roll for the sponsors. I'm sure they're really ready, willing, and able to come right out. I saw that they hijacked my Twitter account yet again, trying to tell everybody they were waiting. Trying to tell everybody they were waiting on me today. All right, clearing space because it takes space. Sponsors take room. I'm telling you, sponsors take room. Get things out of the way so that they don't pick it up on their fur and carry it off with them. So if you have any questions, be sure and pop them in the chat while I'm kind of rearranging and finishing up here. And let me get them, because they're on their way. Watch out. Here they're coming. Let me move the chair so we'll see their entrance. Huh? Well, there's my mat hanging out on the floor. Imagine such a thing. All right, come on. Come on. They want to see your silly faces. Are you coming? Chance is the first one out, as usual. Janet says, and the tech support at her internet providers are breathing a huge sigh of relief. Aren't they just? I'm telling you, people, sometimes it just doesn't pay to be ladylike. Sometimes you got to get down and dirty. All right, here's one sponsor. Oops. Rearranging my monitors here. All right, here it is. Here's one sponsor. And we have double sponsor. We have a sponsor here and we have a sponsor back in the monitor. But I don't know that I can get rid of that monitor back there. Probably not. If I get the camera up too far, all he wants to do is rub his head on it. Charlie, where are you? Come here. Come here. Charlie, come here. Come here. Oh, I have a terrible story to tell you guys. I have a terrible story. Yes. The one disadvantage that I found with YouTube for me is that I can't talk without recording. So if you guys want have tummies that are easily upset, you might want to click off the recording now or go away. because we had an incident this weekend. We had an incident. Sandy, our golden retriever, got sick on Saturday, and she is almost 14, so we're pretty careful with her. And so she got sick over the weekend, and she got sick a lot. And I'm like, what is wrong with this dog? She kept going out. I let her go outside, and she would just consume this the first time she was out by herself for a little while, she ate this mass quantity of grass, and I didn't realize it. And these guys are, let's see, 6 and 7, 10 and 11. They've been here almost 4 years. Next month, they'll have their 4-year anniversary of being here. So this one is 10, Chance is 10, and Charlie's 11. Yeah. So anyway, our poor Sandy girl got sick, and, I would just get things cleaned up, and then she'd do it again. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Well, late that night, I was thinking we're okay. Everybody's calmed down. She seems like she's okay. You know, she wouldn't eat dinner, thankfully. And he keeps playing. Let's show you what. Whoops. Sorry. Wrong camera. Chance keeps digging off the edge of the table to get my hand. So he reaches down with his paw to get me to pet him. Don't you? Yes, you too. So anyway, I'm thinking late that night, everything's good, right? And she starts acting weird again, and darn if she didn't get sick again. And do you know what the source of her issue was? She ate a cat mouse. She ate one of this guy's toys. She ate Chance's toy, and it didn't go through, and so fortunately she didn't require surgery or anything, and her body took care of it. But when that mouse reappeared, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It's like Chance and I have had a chat about that. It's like how he's got to take responsibility for his toys, don't you know? He's got to take responsibility for his toys. There we go. Charlie's pretty relaxed now. He's set for the day. He's set for the day. You're not going to take a bath, so forget about it. Yeah. Anyway. All right, Charlie, before you do something bad, let's just call it a day, shall we? Let's just call it a day, shall we? You're not being real cooperative here. Cat wrangling is not an easy job. Cat wrangling is not an easy job, people. It's just not. Yeah. Anyway. So anyway. Yeah. Sandy had her way with a cat mouse that didn't make it all the way. And so it was an adventurous Saturday. Let me just tell you, it was an adventurous Saturday. Yes. It lasted all day and well into the night. But we got it. She's okay. She's been fine ever since. So anyway, enough gory stories. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad things worked today. I'm really appreciative of that. And yeah, maybe we got it. I don't know. We shall see. So thanks everybody for being here, and I will see you again, I hope, with keep your fingers and toes crossed about next week. And I will see you hopefully next Friday. And be sure and check out, if you'd like to, check out more if you like what I do, tell your friends, and also check out HowToGetCreative.com. That's where there are lots of classes. If you like the classes that I do, you like the way that I teach, if it speaks to you and you want to check out the membership, you can check that out over on HowToGetCreative.com. And so, Chance with his big eye, he's rubbing his face on the camera controller. We'll scoot him over here a little bit. And so with that being said, I will see you guys next week. So thanks everybody, and I will see you next week, I hope. Bye-bye. Remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy.